Good evening and welcome to the rest of the news. Our special guest today is Theresa Camoriano. Now, Theresa is the facilitator of the Louisville 912 group. Tell us a little bit about the 912 group.
Well, Louisville 912 group grew out of Beck's show. He wanted Americans to unite the way we were the day after 9/11. After 9/11, everybody came together. We were all one people, and that's what he's trying to do. That's what inspired the 912 groups.
Right.
And so what we do as a 912 group is we try to, we study American history, civics kinds of things, and try to prepare ourselves to be good citizens, basically.
Okay. Well, what if some of our viewers wanted more information about your group?
They can find us at Louisville912.com. They can contact me through that.
Beck is having a rally. You know that.
Yes.
And tell us a little bit about this rally.
Well, it's going to be August 28th and 29th. And the 28th is the anniversary of Martin Luther King's I Have a Dream speech. And it's also the anniversary of a previous get-together that Glenn had in Washington, D.C., the what was it called? Restoring Honor rally. So it's the anniversary of that as well. And his goal in this is to unite people, to bring attention to what's going on in the Middle East, where Christians are under attack. They're being raped, murdered, they're being displaced from their homes, and he wants to bring attention to that and bring funds to help them. And basically he wants Christians to unite, I think also because he knows Christians are under attack in the United States as well, and that they need to unite.
Well, you mentioned before the program that there tends to be a tendency to divide and conquer the Christians. Divide them up.
Yeah, there's definitely an attempt to divide people, black and white, rich and poor, men and women, and the truth is we're all in this together, and we all need to be united because there's evil in our midst, and we need to join together and fight it and protect the Christians. Religious freedom's under attack in America today. And Christians need to unite. And part of this rally is they're going to trace the walk that Martin Luther King Jr. made in Birmingham, in his protest against civil rights violations against blacks. So he was doing something similar, trying to bring attention to that. He said, I was reading from his letter from a Birmingham jail. He said, I am in Birmingham because injustice is here. I cannot sit idly by in Atlanta and not be concerned about what happens in Birmingham. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. So now we're talking about injustice maybe in some other places, but addressing it in Birmingham.
Yes, it seems to me that that's a very similar situation today. Only, instead of an attack on black people, it's an attack on Christian people, would you say?
In the Middle East, they're being murdered, they're being displaced. You're talking about well over 100,000 people murdered and displaced. And of course, we're not having that sort of thing in the United States, but Christians are also under attack in the United States. Religious freedom is under attack in the United States.
Right. Now, you mentioned that Restoring Honor rally that Beck had, what did you say, 5 years ago?
It was 5 years ago, yeah.
Now, I don't remember who all was involved, but there were 7 buses from Louisville that went up there.
I didn't go, but I understand it was a great experience.
Yeah, there are so many people there. I think he said there are 500,000 people that were there that day. That he has said, hey, enough is enough, and we need to unite all the Christians from all denominations and the Jews too, and anybody that's being persecuted, I think he's used the phrase, every life is important.
Every life matters.
Matters,
and he has said, you know, when the Nazis were exterminating the Jews, we said never again. And his sort of slogan for this event is never again is now, because it's the same sort of thing happening now.
And it's just anybody that doesn't go along with the radical Muslim ideas, would you say? Because even the moderate Muslims are being killed. So if you're not a radical Muslim, they're out to get you.
It's a bad situation, and we need to speak out against it, and we need to do what we can to protect the innocent people who are being attacked and slaughtered.
There's going to be a bus leave Louisville on Saturday the 29th of August, and we're going to leave right after midnight, like 12:01 a.m. on Saturday the 29th. And they're going to be leaving from Evangel Church, 5400 Miners Lane, and they are going to get on the bus and drive down to this rally. Now, we're not going to be able to do too much on the 28th, but we'll be there for the march following Martin Luther King. There's going to be some kind of a rally or, a program in an auditorium of some kind.
And the city of Birmingham is rolling out the red carpet for this event. They're going to have a festival the day before. I think they're giving them the stadium for the event.
Really?
They've really cooperated. And the night before, Glenn is going to be speaking at a church, and it was kind of an interesting story how that ended up happening. He was giving a speech or giving a talk, and there was a black man near the front about 5 rows back, and Glenn said he just felt that he had to speak to that man. And so after the event, he went up and talked to the man, and the man said, well, he also had been told that he needed to talk to Glenn. And he was a pastor of this church in Birmingham. And so they got together, and that's how this event came together.
And they just held it over for Saturday, too.
They'll be meeting in the church. I think it'll be a much smaller event in the church the night before, and then the march following Martin Luther King Jr.'s march in Birmingham, and then the big event will be that night.
Well, now, if you want to be a part of this huge historic event, what we'd like you to do is call right now at 893-2444. And you can call that number right now. If there's no one there to answer the phone, there'll be an answering machine. So just call that number, 893-2444, and tell them you want to go on the trip. It's going to cost, right now it looks like $90 per seat on the bus to go down there and to come back. And if there's a charge at the meeting, it will be included too. There was some mention there might be a $10 charge.
Yes, Glenn said he was going to try to make it as little as he could, but it was going to probably be about $10.
So it would cover everything except your food. You'd have to either bring your food or buy food at a restaurant when they stop for meals. So if you would like to be part of this, a unity rally, wouldn't you say?
Yes. Glenn says you're really going to walk away from Birmingham with new friends and a new attitude and a new mission in life.
And I think it's very necessary. I mean, the idea that they're murdering all these people and nobody seems to do anything about it, or very little.
When I was a child and I would read about World War II, and I wondered, how could the people allow that to happen? How could people allow a whole people to be exterminated? And nobody lifted a finger. Nobody said a word.
Oh, please,
and they said never again. And as Glenn says, never again is now, because the same thing is happening.
Yeah.
They are systematically exterminating the Christians in the Middle East.
Christianity is sort of being attacked religious freedom is being attacked.
It's a big issue in the United States now, unfortunately, yes.
I mean, it's really important. You say, well, I don't know what I can do about this and do about that and do about the other. Well, the thing that you and I can both do is show up. That's all I can say. If we show up, that will make a huge difference, I believe.
Well, it speaks when people are willing to go and take their time. It speaks volumes. And the other thing is, I think it will be a very rewarding experience for the people who attend. Everyone who has gone to one of the Glenn Beck rallies has come back very moved, they've been very affected by these rallies. They've made good friends, as Glenn said, but it's been a religious experience for these people.
It's something that we really need to do, because we just cannot sit idly by and watch all of this, these terrible tragedies going on in the Middle East. And, we have to do something.
If you don't stop it now.
Oh, yeah, it's going to come to our shores.
It will come here. It will get worse.
Yeah.
Evil doesn't stop just by ignoring it. It doesn't go away.
What was that sentence you said? Injustice in one place?
What Martin Luther King Jr. had said is, injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere.
I think God expects us to get involved and stand with these people in the Near East, the Middle East, that are being tortured because of who they are.
And these are Christian communities that have been there since the time of Christ. I mean, they're the original Christian communities, and they're being decimated.
Right. So I'd like to give that number to you again: 893-2444. 893-2444, and you can call right now and make your reservation. It's a first come, first serve situation where we have to fill up one bus, and if we can fill up one bus, we'll go another bus if we get enough people. So call that number right now, 893-2444. Now that's going to be Saturday, August 29th. And we're going to leave from Evangel on Miners Lane, 5400 Miners Lane, at the church, not the school, but at the church. And we'll get on the bus at 12:01 a.m. In other words, the very first minute of the 29th.
The very first minute of Saturday.
Of Saturday is when we get on the bus and leave for Birmingham. It's a 6-hour drive, and they're an hour behind us. So be that as it may, we'll try to get back, and hopefully around 10 o'clock at night, Saturday night, so you can get to bed and get ready for church in the morning.
They haven't named the speakers yet for all the events, but I'm pretty sure Alveda King, Martin Luther King Jr.'s
I think I've heard
niece
that.
will be involved in this. She'll be one of the speakers, I think. There will be many ministers from that area who will be speaking, and I don't know who else. Obviously, Glenn Beck will be the main speaker, but I don't know who else will be speaking.
Right.
Well, it says here also David Barton will be speaking.
So if you can at all make it, and the thing is to be part of the movement and to be there when it happens. You can tell your grandchildren, oh, I was there when that happened.
And I made a difference.
Right. And all you have to do is show up. It's not like you have to give a speech. And of course, they are going to take an offering for the people that are, the Christians in the Middle East. But the important thing is to be there and be part of this tremendous unity rally that's uniting people from all over the United States, and to stand against the murder of these people in the Middle East. We look forward to getting your call, 893-2444. 444, and we'll reserve you a room. But it is a first come, first serve situation, because once the bus is filled up, we won't be able to accommodate other people.
Now, if you want more information about the event, and there will be more information as time goes on, you can go to Glenn Beck's website at mercury1.org, I guess, mercury1.org.
Oh, is it .org? Okay. Yeah, he's got quite a bit of information there about, why he's doing this and what it means and how to get there. And you can donate online if you can't go down to be at the rally. You can still donate for the persecuted Christians. There are all kinds of people that are being killed, like some of the moderate Muslims are being killed because they're not radical enough for them.
It's a brutal place. It's hard for us to imagine sitting here what these people are enduring. I mean, it's hard. It's just impossible to imagine the horror of it.
That's right. And we can no longer stand idly by. Somebody has got to do something. And thank the Lord, Glenn Beck has stood up and gone and taken a stand. And I think we need to back him up. And he's being criticized by all the anti-Christian people, by the left-wingers and the media and all that. But I'm hoping that there'll be maybe 1 million people there that will really show the world that America is not asleep, that we do believe in things, and we're willing to take a step, and we're going to help people that are being murdered for their faith in God. When does your group meet?
We're meeting on the first Tuesday of the month, so we just met.
There are a lot of problems that we need to work on. Let's see if I can give you a quote from this David Horowitz article. He says, inaction is not an answer. To remain silent or continue with the failed status quo is to be complicit in the dismantling of our 239-year foundation. So that's sort of what we were saying before. You can't just sit idly by.
Every generation has to fight evil. It doesn't go away. Our forefathers fought for our benefit, and we have to now stand up for other people's benefit.
There are too many leaders in the freedom movement who have simply observed the different problems, but they haven't gotten to the point of doing anything about it.
Well, this is an opportunity to get up and do something.
That's right.
People are wringing their hands and saying, what can I do?
Yes.
This is something you can do.
The thing, it's a unity rally. So you get people that say, well, I don't agree with that one on everything, and I don't agree with that one on anything, and I don't agree with that one. Well, it doesn't really matter. The thing is, we need to work together, because the alternative is the whole boat's going to sink. We're all kind of in a boat.
We're all in it together.
We're all in it together, and it doesn't matter how you part your hair or anything else. But the thing is, we got to work together, or the whole boat's going to sink.
I mean, we have so much in common just as human beings.
Yes.
The vast majority believe in God.
Yes.
And believe in what he has taught. And I think if you are a Christian, you're called to speak out for those who are being oppressed.
He says, so far, the politicians are bringing feathers to a machine gun fight.
It's about the size of it.
In other words, they're not really serious about solving the problems. They just want to complain about it. Refer to lawless actions contrary to the consent of the governed as law of the land. In other words, our government is supposed to take its authority from the consent of the governed, from us, we the people.
Well, the fact of the matter is that if we speak out, we are the ones we are the bosses.
Yeah.
And if we demand that our representatives take some action, then they will.
A big rally like this is demanding action.
It will get attention. There's no question about it.
Because
you can't ignore it.
Everything we're doing is good and fine, but the problem is it's not enough. So we have to take the next step, and that is all get together and go out and stand together in this huge nationwide unity rally to stand for one nation under God. He says the 4th of July has more meaning than fireworks and barbecues. So I think that's one thing that we can all do. It's only going to cost $90 and one day, a long day, but it will be one day. The justification behind the preamble of the Declaration of the American and the American Revolution itself would pale in comparison with what is confronting us in our generation.
What's happening today, I think, is probably a lot worse.
A lot worse
than what our forefathers faced when they had their revolution. Yes.
It says, Justice Scalia noted, social transformation is taking place without representation. In other words, they didn't ask us what to do. They just did what they wanted to. A small elite number of people that think they know better than
impose their views on us.
Exactly.
Illegally, unconstitutionally. Yes.
Okay. He says we suffer from a government that corrupts the very essence of our founding documents and infringes upon those inalienable rights and create new rights. Well, yeah, the idea is that our rights come from God and not from the Supreme Court or from anybody else, but from God. And we tend to be, losing them. They're trying to take them away from us. A government that does not derive its powers from the consent of the governed. We should have consent of the governed.
Well, Christians are under attack in the United States. Not in the way they are in the Middle East, but it's coming.
Yeah, and we can't wait till it's like the Middle East. We've got to get together now, and everyone is important. You say, well, I'm just this or I'm just that. You're important, and we need you, and God is calling you to be down there. Go down there with us on the 29th of August and be part of this tremendous historical unity meeting that will have a tremendous effect on our future and our children's future. I just want to give you that phone number one more time, 893-2444. Call it right this minute. Get your friends and all of you go down there, and we'll have a great time together. Okay, this is I guess we're running out of time. We thank Theresa Camoriano.
The biggest challenge of the day.
Camoriano.
Yes.
God bless you, and tune in again next week for the rest of the news.
I wanted to get him on the phone and find out how things are going in Birmingham, Alabama, where we are going to be at his church, Guiding Light Church, on August 28th, the 5-year anniversary to Restoring Love. And, Bishop, I have a feeling this thing is going to grow a little out of control in a good way.
Well, it looks like it's doing that already. We're getting a lot of people asking questions from all over the nation. So we're ready to try to see what we can do in order to make this be a great event. And where people come together.
I have a feeling, because it's going to be Friday and Saturday.
Yes, sir.
And let me tell you what happened at 828 5 years ago. We went and we rented the Kennedy Center, and we did a deal at the Kennedy Center. And I had all the pastors and everybody gather there. And there was about 3,000 people that went there.
Mm-hmm.
The next day, we did something open for everybody in just an open space, obviously in the mall. And there were about 500,000 people there. But I have a feeling there's going to be a lot of people there. A lot of people there.
we've had a lot of people that have corresponded with us, that the phone lines have been lighting up. And like I said, got people coming from all over, and this looks like it'll be a great thing to do when people come to Birmingham, and where, this is where the civil rights struggle was, the struggle for civil rights. And now as we're coming together, we're talking about all lives matter and the rights of every human being. This seems like this is a good place for that.
It sure does.
To launch forward.
So, Bishop, let me just ask you this, because this is on your website or your Facebook page, and I don't know what you meant by this. The question may be asked why I, Jim Lowe, a black man with my background, would be willing to work with Glenn Beck, a white man with his background. My first and most accurate response is, as Jim Lowe, the black man, I would not. Mm-hmm. But the truth is, I refuse to be defined by the color of my skin and see myself defined by any other man. Explain that a bit. What do you mean by this?
Well, listen, Glenn. Here's the problem, that when people start putting labels on people, they define them. And if you define somebody and a person believes what you define them to be, then their destiny is based upon how they're defined. If I'm told by my parents that I'm dumb, I'm not going to be anything, then my destiny is affected by the thoughts that they've created in my mind. If you can label me and get me to be thinking that I'm not going to amount to nothing because of some name you give me, then that limits me because of how you define me. I refuse to be defined by what some individual wants to call me. I have been defined by my Creator, my God who created me, and only He has a right to determine what I am to become. No one else. And so, therefore, if I'm defined by people as to be a black person, a black man, then I'm limited to what the concepts of what are acceptable norms for black people. I refuse to be put in a box and labeled by what humankind says I am, when I have a defined kind that has proclaimed that I'm much more than what man can say I can be. I'm more intent on being biblically correct than politically correct. And if that means that some people are going to be challenged by the things I say, so be it, because I'm not defined by a political doctrine. I'm defined by what God says. Birmingham's been known it's known a lot of times because of the racial strife that occurred here in the 60s. And it's been known because it's one of the places that they talk about. They always talk about the fire hoses and the dogs and everything. My father grew up in this city, and I grew up in this city. I'm familiar. I saw the fire hoses. I saw the dogs. I made mistakes sometimes of going to a white fountain, and my mother hollering at me, saying, "Move! You can't go there. You can't go there." I've had to go to the bathrooms that were the colored bathrooms. I know about all of that. That's what our history is of Birmingham. But I choose not to remember that history. I choose to remember that we've overcome those things. We have a black mayor now. We have city council predominantly black. We do things. We're excelling. We're moving forward.